of modification, and I commend it to the House. Thank you.
That's an excellent speech. The question is...
The Speaker.
Shane Jones.
Kia ora.
The Honourable.
Well, actually, I must elaborate on what my colleague was saying. He's actually not talking about excessively increasing taxes. He's talking about distributing in a more even-handed fashion, sir, the sources from out of the economy where a government draws the revenue to meet the current appetites which we're actually seeing from that side of the House. You know, I mistakenly thought that this would be a government that actually would put into practice a lot of the rhetoric that they spouted earlier in the time when I was in government as a minister. But in actual fact, sir, they've been tardy, they've been profligate, and they're slowly being caught out. But that's another matter. So I am disappointed, and I really do want to hear from my colleagues in the Green Party as to why they couldn't possibly support this piece of legislation. I recently went, sir, to Sri Lanka as a parliamentarian and encountered there the guy from the IMF. No one should underestimate the work. I can't account for why they didn't send a national parliamentarian, but I was prepared to sort of bear the burden and go over there on our behalf, sir. However, it was a timely reminder of the work that the IMF managers, analysts, etc. do on the ground as they are working in Sri Lanka with a country that has had a dreadful civil war, sir, and also they depend on the actual capital that the IMF has access to. Now, what does it actually do? So what it does, it takes a generally using very complicated models of multiple regression, etc., using econometric models, so trying to rebalance and refoot the economy. Now, I don't want to get, sir, too dense and technical because I know, sir, on that side of the House there's an audience with limited capacity to follow such narratives. However, unlike Mr Mallard. However, that's when you actually go to one of these countries, and for my colleagues in the Green Party, and I respect the fact that they are very strong, sir, on social development, very strong on equity, and if there's ever a case where we should stand staunch to ensure that the ills of a civil war and ethnic strife doesn't re-emerge, given that we've got so many Sri Lankans coming to New Zealand in the medical profession, etc., that represents an example of where the IMF is delivering very practical work. So it's beyond cavil, sir, that we should support this bill. Now, my colleague has delivered to the House that we're disappointed that this will not actually come to the legislature. It will disappear down into the corridors of the executive, not unlike, I suspect, sir, that story which is untold about the Sky City Casino. But given I've got my own report coming out in a week or two, I shall just tie-ho on saying much more about that report until such time, sir, my report comes out. And no doubt I will be for a very ephemeral moment in the firing gun, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, sir. When we get to it, so it's highly unlikely that I'll get many missiles from over there, given that I actually, sir, remember what actually was happening when they were bringing me their applications when I was the minister, but that's in the past. Now, sir, the bill actually doesn't immediately require New Zealand to step up with further capital. No. What it does, sir, it provides an opportunity to reform the way in which participants, sir, exercise their influence. Do we actually believe in the role of the IMF? Of course we do, sir. As I said, in the Sri Lankan experience, more recently, I've seen personally how they're doing a difficult task. Wherever they go, sir, the elected governments are cross with them. But that's a healthy level of tension. We, the donors to such an organisation, have every right to require them, when they move into these countries, sir, where the transparency is not flash, where the economy is in a state of gross imbalance, that we can rely upon the professionalism of such an organisation that has support. Now, sir, it's only 18 months that when there may very well be a government comprising some minority parties and ourselves. And, sir, I've no doubt in my mind that the stance that we take into the future will see New Zealand continuing to support such an institution. So I actually am interested to learn why our friends from the Green Party, whether or not it's because Mr Kennedy Graham got sort of haw-ha with Labor and forgot to elaborate the reasons. These things happen, so I've been known to get haw-ha with Labor myself, but that's another matter. I've actually had the Greens haw-ha with me, sir, so actually I'll say members of Labor. Often the kaumata from Wainuiomata has taken a dim view on certain things I've heard, and I've said it's lost in translation. He said, sir, the man is not kaumata and he'll challenge anyone to a bike race, etc. Well, I kind of know what bike races does to sensitive parts of the anatomy, so I'll tie-ho on that. I'll stay with golden oldie. So I'll tie-ho on that. I'll go to golden oldie rugby, sir. So the other thing that I'd like to say is that the IMF has over the years attracted a great deal of negative attention. They've actually been they've been attacked and in some cases demonised for going into difficult areas, and we've only got to look at the experience of Latin America, and I'm sure the member from Wairarapa could have gone on at length in a flatulent manner and regaled us with tales, sir, about how he has played a role in saving those countries from themselves. But the IMF, sir, is an institution that a number of New Zealanders have continued to work in. Very, very significantly placed, sir, bureaucrats from our own country have gone on and indeed taken a representative role there on the executive board. So we should not, sir, quibble, we should not shirk from ensuring that our overall commitment is adequately covered in the IMF, but more importantly, that as one of the key OECD countries, we show ongoing support. Now, we know, sir, the Americans with their 16, 17, 18% voting rights still have virtually a veto right. But, sir, we've seen the fashions change also in that great economy, where it was only 10 years ago when they themselves, so many of their legislators seem to be locked into a pattern of demonising and stigmatising such international bodies, sir. But we in New Zealand, it comes as part of the obligation to be a good global citizen. We don't have, sir, the breadth of defence capacity. We don't have, sir, partly through the errors of the current government, the depth of capital. We rely, sir, on international markets. We rely, sir, on international agreements. A small country of 4.5 million people with aspirations to maintain a high-quality OECD lifestyle has no option but to stand as a key participant in such institutions. And this particular bill, sir, it doesn't commit us to anything that we are not already comfortable with. Indeed, it's just an iteration of what we did several years ago. But, sir, it's a timely reminder at a time when New Zealand's seeking to secure other internationally recognised positions. Indeed, the Minister of Trade is hoping to follow the footsteps of Mike Moore. Well, I would encourage him to develop physical robustness if he's going to emulate the full deeds of Mike Moore. But that shows, sir, if we're seen as being dependable, sir, and robust contributors to something such as the IMF, then the credentials that other personalities will wear on our behalf as we seek to secure positions, not for them personally, but, sir, for our nation state through their person. So that's a very fine thing, and it's a very aspirational goal that I'm sure the majority of parliamentarians are committed to. And I'm pretty sure, sir, that the Green Party itself shares that level of commitment, although they probably have, sir, a less charitable view than I do about the virtues of free trade. And I look forward, sir, to learning more as to when the proposed multi-party trade agreement drawing closer the United States and America and ourselves and our Asian neighbours comes to pass. But that's a debate that no doubt we will fully resolve after the 2014 election, and by that time we will be over there, sir, and my occasional fellow travellers and the rugby team, etc., will be over here. Now, sir, that's just the ebb and flow of democracy, and a number of them, I'm sure, will go. Now, I'm not suggesting, sir, that we should be casual about how we regard our roles and our contributions of a fiscal nature to such organisations, but we should, sir, be regarded as solid citizens, and that's why this side of the House, sir, supports in an unfettered fashion the passage of this bill.
Dr. Russell Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak on the International Finance